What's up, Guardians, and welcome back, Warlocks. I'm Profane, thanks for checking out the video. Today we're taking an early look into a new game-changing build that might just become the greatest prismatic build that Warlocks have the luxury of using during Revenant. This new build features a new exotic that isn't out yet, but it will become available once Revenant launches. And that's the Rime-Coat Raiment, a new exotic chess piece that you'll be able to obtain through Master Raoul's exotic focusing. Even though it's not out yet, we were able to get a preview of this new exotic during Bungie's livestream earlier this week, which has given us the opportunity to dissect this exotic, its intrinsic trait, and the best way to build around this crazy new exotic armor piece. While it hasn't been officially put through the ringer to have a proper testing done, this exotic showed a lot of potential when it was showcased while playing Legendary Onslaught. Keep in mind that it was on a developer build with all of the new artifact mods already unlocked, but still yet, it looked really nice. The Rime-Coat Raiment comes with a Bleak Domain intrinsic trait, which enhances our Bleak Watcher turret in a few different ways. This means that this can be used on a standard Stasis build or on a Prismatic, but I'm more inclined to utilize the Prismatic benefits, since those are going to provide us with more ability regeneration, bonus health recovery, and more overall damage output. Bleak Watcher turrets will now have extended range, and when you cast a Bleak Watcher turret, the turret will be stationed higher off the ground. That in itself is a really nice benefit, since most Bleak Watchers end up being at eye level, which can get in the way sometimes. When the turret gets generated, 3 to 4 large stasis crystals are going to develop all around the turret. Once those crystals are destroyed, new crystals will develop, for as long as the turret stays active, which has a standard activation time of 25 seconds. Beneath the turret, a storm of stasis energy will rise, slowing and freezing any target who passes through it. This means this could be used in an offensive manner, to trap a champion or high-ranking enemy within the storm, to keep them perpetually frozen. The radius of this storm is not very large, it's slightly smaller than a rift. Whenever standing in the storm, you're going to have this tiny little icicle form next to you that functions much like an arc or solar buddy. And I gotta admit, these things are super cute. As you use your weapons against enemies, this little icicle will fire out stasis projectiles that slow enemies. It's not as effective as the Bleak Watcher turret or one of the other energy buddies, but it does increase our effectiveness at spreading slow and freezing effects to much larger groups of enemies. This baby turret will stay by our side, and it will remain active for about 1 to 2 seconds after stepping outside of the storm, but by re-entering the storm, you can easily get it back. So by using the Rime-Coat Raiment, we're not just getting an enhanced Bleak Watcher, we're getting an extended AoE effect, stasis crystals that shatter, which causes even more damage, plus a little stasis buddy. This exotic is going to have a lot of synergy with the new seasonal artifact, and it's really going to give Warlocks a great build that excels in crowd control. I wouldn't go as far to say that this would be a better option than using the Osmiumonsi or one of the other many exotic class item combinations, only because it's not officially out yet, but this exotic has certainly got some juice. When it comes to building around this exotic, we turn to the Prismatic subclass, where we have the benefits of pairing Bleak Watcher with Feed the Void. So by defeating enemies with any ability, we'll be generating Devour, and when Devour is active, every final blow grants a full bar of health, and up to 20% bonus grenade energy, which will see us casting our Bleak Watcher turret much more often. Even though we will be consuming most of our grenades to create Bleak Watchers, we have the freedom to choose any grenade type, and we've decided to go with Void Grenades because of the synergy with several new artifact mods. With the addition of Supernova, whenever we collect a Void Breach, our next source of Void damage will trigger a 15% weakening debuff to all nearby enemies. We would typically need Facet of Awakening to cause Void Breaches, but by using the power from Pain artifact mod, defeating weakened enemies generates a Void Breach, and it also grants Devour, which could free us up to remove Feed the Void and use another aspect, which would give us more fragment options. But to ensure that Devour stays active for as long as we're engaged in combat, we've chosen to keep Feed the Void equipped. Concussive Reload gives us a method to weaken enemies as long as we're using grenade launchers, but we could also add on the Facet of Dominance to give our Void Grenades the ability to weaken enemies. Conductive Cosmic Crystal is another mod that will have a major impact on this build's performance, as any Void or Arc ability will deal bonus damage against slowed and frozen enemies. We've also got the Facet of Courage equipped, so all of our light-based abilities will be dealing 10% bonus damage against any frozen and slowed enemy. There's also a number of Stasis-inspired artifact mods that will amplify the performance of our Bleak Watcher and that new Stasis Storm. With Hail the Storm equipped, causing crystals and frozen enemies to shatter will deal bonus damage, and when crystals shatter, they'll send out tiny shards of ice that slow nearby enemies. And with Wind Chill, we could give ourselves bonus levels of survivability with the addition of Frost Armor. By landing consecutive precision hits with any stasis weapon, we'll be building up stacks of Frost Armor, maxing out at a total of 36% bonus damage resistance. To add to our durability, we are using the Facet of Protection to give ourselves a 15% bonus in damage resistance whenever we are surrounded by enemies. And when we're in our Transcendent state, that's going to get bumped up to 32%. The only downside about Transcendency is that we cannot consume our Transcendent Grenade to make a Bleak Watcher, but we can freely spam those and our melee, which we are using the Incinerator Snap. We've also got Facet of Purpose, and since we have Song of Flame equipped, we'll trigger Restoration every time we collect an Orb of Power. We're also going to have a 90% bonus in damage resistance whenever we are in our Song of Flame super, so we've got a lot of ways to keep ourselves protected. With Conductive Cosmic Crystal allowing void abilities to deal bonus damage against frozen and slowed enemies, it does entice us to use Nova Bomb, but I find the survivability benefits of Song of Flame to be much more beneficial. It's also going to be much more cohesive to our use of stasis effects, especially since we are using the Facet of Ruin, which is going to increase the radius of ignitions and shattering effects, and it's going to increase the damage dealt when frozen enemies and crystals shatter. With Clash Tree and Artifact mods now addressed, let's talk about some of the best weapon options to go with this build. Regenerating grenade energy will be crucial to maximize on our uptime of Bleak Watcher turrets, so having legendary weapons with Demolitionist will really help us out. Stasis weapons with Chill Clip or Headstone, or solar weapons with Incandescent would all have a lot of synergy with how we've got this build set up. Personally, I'll be bouncing between the Lost Signal Stasis Grenade Launcher and the Jiraka Rapid Fire Scout Rifle. When it comes to exotic weapons, the new Stasis Grenade Launcher looks like it's going to be a really nice weapon to incorporate into this build, but there's also Aegir's Scepter, Wicked Implement, the Winter's Bite, and Conditional Finality that would all be great options. Now when it comes to the best character stats to focus on with this build, Resilience is of course a key component towards our survivability, as it will provide a 30% reduction in incoming damage whenever we are at tier 10. Discipline is going to be the next stat to focus on, as it'll directly impact the cooldown of our grenade energy. And when it comes to our armor and armor mods, we want to go all in on grenade energy regeneration, which is why we're using Grenade Kickstart, which will convert armor charges into grenade energy. But to get those armor charges, we need to use Helmet Siphon, Heavy Handed, and Reaper mods. Firepower unfortunately will be a lost cause, since you're not actually defeating very many enemies with an actual grenade. We're also using Impact Induction, Innervation, and Bomber to give ourselves even more grenade energy. With all the bonus grenade energy that we're providing ourselves, we're going to have a constant supply of these Bleak Watcher turrets, allowing us to fully maximize on the potential of this amazing new exotic. And with that said, I think we've covered all the ins and outs on how you can build around the new exotic chess piece, the Rime-Coat Raiment. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this new exotic, and whether you're going to be using this exotic with Prismatic or with Stasis. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. If you need help putting together this build, then be sure to check out my Mobalytics link that's down in the description. But keep in mind that since this exotic and the artifact are not out yet, those options are not going to be available in the API, so I will be going back in to update Mobalytics and Destiny Item Manager once Revenant launches. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian, just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran, just looking for a new place to call home, then be sure to check out the Discord link that's also down in the description, and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.